as ever. The players shake hands and off we go. Pawn to c4, c5. I love how Jose presses the clock. Knight to c3. We have 3 knights already on the board. Will Jose play knight c6? No, he goes e6. And now Javokhir, maybe g3. Yes, pushes his pawn to g3, b6 to meet the bishop on the diagonal. Bishop g2, bishop b7. And now castles here for white. Black also castles. And you have pawn to d4 played. Pawn takes pawn. Queen takes pawn. And you can see that white has a lot of space and very good free-flowing development. But what black has is this very strong hedgehog-like structure. Knight c6. Queen comes to f4. Looking in this direction. Queen to b8. Offering a trade. And now b3, this is all preparation for Sindarov. Goes rook to d8, defending the pawn on d7. You have queen takes queen, rook takes queen. And now bishop to f4, hitting the rook. Pawn comes up to d6. And rook to c1. Very, very calm play by white, bringing all the pieces together. 8-6. Black's position is very solid. But the knight on c6 is a bit misplaced. You know, you would have loved to have this knight on d7 perhaps. Maybe he will take care of that. Knight h5. Hitting the bishop here. The bishop drops back. The knight comes back. Look at Jose's time. He's at 10 minutes 50 seconds. Playing super quick. Now attacking the pawn. As well as this pawn. Rook comes to d7. And knight to e1. This knight could very well go to d3. He goes knight to d8, and of course if you take on a7, I take on g2 and win the knight. So bishop f4 played. He takes on g2, king g2, and now there are 3 attackers on d6 square. He goes knight e8 and defends it very, very carefully. The knight jumps to d3, and now you can kick the knight away with a6. So black's position has been slightly worse, but it has been very stable until now. Jose has played this very well. Javokhir Sindarov also keeping up the pressure. Now rook c8, a nice move. Maybe aiming for b5 or d5 breaks at the right moment. And he goes knight to b4. He attacks the pawn on a6. Maybe rook a7 makes sense. He goes knight c6. Very interesting. If you take here, maybe there's rook a7. So takes, rook takes. Getting closer to equality is black. e4 by Javo. And now rook to c7. And this pressure on the d6 pawn, but is well defended. He goes a4, rook to c8, waiting here. But now knight a2 to b4. He finds it. Sindarov, very smart. Rook to c7, and now the knight jumps into b4. Such good maneuvering. Such strong positional play. Now the a6 pawn is attacked. He goes rook a8. But the entire game has been all about white attacking black pawns. Look at this. Now another attack here. He goes rook b7. Slightly inaccurate. Knight jumps in already. Attacking the bishop on e7. Bishop drops back. And now b4. Trying to plonk the knight on the c6 square. Whew. Positional chess of the highest caliber. King comes up to f3. And look at the time. Sindarov has 5 minutes 30 seconds. Jose has 4 minutes. And how do you continue? He goes king e2, just centralizing the king. Rook c7, pushes the pawn to b5. If someone wouldn't have told who's playing with the white pieces, well, could have been very well a Karpov game. King h7. And now f4, expanding here on the king side, maybe giving an option to take, and jump in with the rook. He takes, and plays rook a4. Good move. Trying to put pressure here. King comes up to f3. Now rook a3, pinning the bishop. Just caused some problems, right? He goes h5, but now Javokhir plays a beautiful move g4. Takes. The h file opening up is going to help white. Takes. King goes back. But now rook a1. Get the open a file. He first gains more space with g5. g6 played to get the bishop out on g7. But rook a1. It's a very important move. No, he goes rook d2, stopping I mean, rook a3 played, but can we double on the h file? Is there any kind of mate that's possible? No, he goes rook c2. Maybe he's going to play rook a2 next. But yeah, he stopped this. The c4 pawn is attacked. King e2. He wants to go king d3 and then play rook a2. What a fight this has been. You know, just 10 seconds left for Jose. He goes f4. f5 he plays. Takes. And should take with the g pawn here. Yeah, black is still in the fight. These are the tense moments. One mistake and it's all over. Your World Cup is over. Your candidate spot is gone. e5 played. Rook comes to d5. Fantastic chess. Now rook a3. Very important move. He finds it again. Jose showing his class. Not falling down easily. Javokhir asks another question. What do you do now? Rook a4. Mistake. That's a very big mistake because he just blundered a pawn here. A big error. Maybe he wants to keep an attack on this pawn, but the f5 pawn is hanging. It's a big mistake here. Also, the b6 pawn is hanging. And Javokhir takes his time and takes on e5. Pawn takes, knight takes on e5. And I think Jose Martinez seems to have missed this. Rook e5. And now if you take c4 with any of the rook, I'll take. And then win the b6 pawn. f5 is also loose. He does take on c4. What a tense game, but now it's kind of going in Javokhir's favor. Takes. Bishop takes b6 is good. Rook takes f5 is also good. He takes the pawn. And is this winning? Is the big question. f4 played, trying to push the pawn forward. And now rook to d5. Just keeping the rook in a good position. Getting the bishop back to d4 and starting to push the pawn. Bishop e7. Looking here on g5, king f3 played, but now king f7. Get your king up. Maybe black has another chance here. King f7 finds it. And now very difficult moment for Sindarov. What is he going to do? He plays rook e5, but there's bishop d6. Important move to be played. Bishop d6, rook f5, king e6. Not easy. He goes check. Of course, if you take this pin, but king e4, he's coming in this way. And now plays bd6, but a move too late. Rook f5 check. You needed the rook here. Rook f5 check, and now you're losing the pawn. King e7, and now bishop can come back to d4. Finds it. Now look at this bishop, controls this square. b6 is coming in. Rook g3, attacking this pawn perhaps. King d5. Oh, he's moving in with the king to the other side. f3, pushing the pawn down the board. b6, he's pushing his pawn. Rook comes to g4 with just 3 seconds on the clock. b7 played. And you can't handle this with just 1 second. He pushes his bishop to h2. But now bishop e5 is just killing move because takes rook e5 check and I queen. So it's a very beautiful move. And Javokhir with 30 seconds has to find it. Look at him calming himself down and finding it. Taking the queen in his hand. Rook b4, but now you're simply going to lose the rook here with b8 queen. He makes a queen and resigns there. Javokhir Sindarov beats Jose Martinez, reaches the semi-finals, apologizes to his opponent, saying sorry there. Maybe that was very big excitement for Javokhir.